Again, Jimmy Delaney with the Tennessee Athletic Department, and appreciate you all having me here. I look forward to giving you all some of the insights of some of the things that we do within the athletic department on digital marketing, digital advertising. As she mentioned, I've been with the athletic department since the beginning of time. So I started there as a freshman and went to grad school there, was hired as interim director to senior director to assistant athletic director. So I've seen a lot change over the years in terms of what we do from a marketing and advertising and sales and promotional aspect. And obviously digital is a huge, huge part of that. And it's one of those things to where it can be overwhelming as if drinking from a fire hose, or we can try to embrace it and bite it off piece by piece. So I'll go through at any given point. Feel free, stop me, raise your hand, say my name. If you have any questions, a lot of what I'm going to tell you are things that we do, but then it's also things that I just Googled it. The best way to figure out what's best for you is to go out there, seek the information, pull that back in, think about what your business is, your customers, for us, what our fans are, and then how we're going to implement that from a budget standpoint, from a time resource standpoint, to the objectives, to the time of year, to the sales cycle, to whatever it might be. So the best way to make this work is not only to invest whatever budget that you have available, but really to invest the time. And that's the thing. When Lori first asked me, she said, "Who does all of this for you all?" And I said, "Well, and I do. We also have some help from an ad agency, and that may or may not be something that you all have access to. But a lot of it is I just invested the time. If we're going to be doing this, and if we're responsible for bringing fans in, I got to know what I'm doing." So with that, we'll get started. So really, the question is, why would you get into digital advertising and digital marketing? And there's a quote from Brian Halligan. I don't know Brian. I just saw it on the internet and I liked it, so I decided to give him credit for it. But the question was why? And to grow your business, you must match your marketing with the way your prospects learn about and shop for your products. So when you think about that, in this day and age, obviously everybody either has a laptop or they got one of these in their pocket or whatever it might be. So how are they figuring out what they want to do? How are they either figuring out what your store hours are, what do you offer, what products? If they're specifically looking for something, who are they going to get that from? Are they going to get it from a local company? Are they going to order it from Amazon and have it shipped in? Are they going to maybe drive 45 minutes to go pick it up because it's a specialty store, whatever it might be? So for us at Tennessee, in order for us to grow our fan base, we had to figure out how are our fans looking at available seats, how are they looking at merchandise, how are they looking at some of the events that we put on, whatever it might be, and then how do we get in touch with them, how do we bring them back into our buildings, or how do we get them to buy a hoodie or a t-shirt or whatever that might be. So the biggest thing is specifically for you, how do you want to get in touch with those folks? And that's why you should get in touch with digital marketing. The reason I've got the red motorcycle up there, and you'll see it throughout, is if I'm in the business of selling motorcycles, there's many, many ways that I could tell people that are interested in a motorcycle. If I'm in the business of selling a Bugatti or a Ducati, which is a very expensive motorcycle, all of a sudden my funnel is going to get a little bit smaller because I'm looking for people that have that lifestyle, have the means to purchase it. And even smaller is I ordered a bunch of red ones and I need to get them off the floor. So I'm looking for somebody that wants a high-performing motorcycle, has the means, and likes the color red. And going through digital advertising, you can do all of that from a very tight set of standards that are offered through Google and Facebook and Twitter and all of it. So here's the thing. The stats on here, you could probably go to any given website and they'll give you any number of website or stats. I Googled it, and this is what it came up with. And this is why it pays to be online. 90% of internet users will research a product or service online, and then of that 90%, 50% of those intend to buy something. Most people are not going to waste their time going out researching, looking for products, looking for store locations, looking for hours, reading reviews on those products or services if they don't intend to go through with it. It may not be that day or that week or that month, but they intend on going through and making a purchase. So once they've done the research and once they've gone online, if they intend to make a purchase, how do you bring them back into your stores? And we're going to get to, it's called remarketing or retargeting, which I'll explain a little bit more here in a minute. But that said is really important. So the big thing is where to start. If you are a small business owner, you have one shop, you have 10 employees, maybe you have 2 locations, maybe you're a freelancer, maybe you work out of home, whatever it might be. There's 8 million terms on the internet that talk about digital advertising and marketing, and they can all be very, very confusing. They can be overwhelming. People are out there writing articles about the good, the bad, the indifferent. So hopefully what I'm going to do is give you guys just a small step, where to start, where to go, and what are the things that will work specifically for you. So real quick, assume most folks know, but if not, so when you're buying digital advertising, when you're buying banner ads, or when you're buying campaigns, there's 2 things. And when internet advertising and internet ads first came out, it was all about impressions. How many impressions am I getting? And now, as we get more and more fine-tuned and more into it, it's really more about clicks. Because if somebody sees your ad, does that mean that they're going to come to your store, buy your product? If somebody clicks on your ad, they've expressed some level of interest, like, hey, I want to see what that's more about. So as I go through, I'm going to talk a lot more about clicks, because that's really where you're going to get your ROI. You're going to get some level of business off of that. Impressions are great. If you're trying to spread your brand awareness, just let people know, hey, we're here. Impressions are great, but clicks really are what will eventually help convert a customer. So, which is more favorable? In my opinion, obviously clicks are more favorable if you're specifically trying to convert and get conversions. A click is a customer, a potential customer who clicks on your ad. Those clicks can then help feed your retargeting campaign, which we'll go over, and then help with the effectiveness of your message. Are your ads good enough for folks to be interested enough to click on them? There's ads everywhere. Most websites we go to, there's ads upon ads upon ads. So if yours is standing out and someone's clicking on it, that's a good thing. If they see it and hey, I saw your ad on the internet, this is what made me stop in, that's an impression. So in advertising, a lot of times we say it's cost per click. So, and then an impression is a customer, a potential customer who just sees your ad, seeing a billboard, seeing a TV spot, seeing a newspaper ad, seeing what it might, if you put a flyer up, whatever it might be. The potential for the audience can be really, really large, because you can just say, I want to buy 100 impressions per day for the next 30 days. So the number of people that are seeing that can be really large, but what you don't know is, what are the interests of those folks? Do they have any interest in what you do for a daily living? Or are they merely just on a website and you're on that website with them? You may have wasted an impression on somebody that's not a customer, whereas if you go with clicks, you're specifically seeking out those folks that fit in your audience of what you're trying to do. Like I said, it's good for brand recognition, and again, a term that a lot of folks use is it's CPM, so it's cost per thousand. When you buy impressions, you buy them in the thousands. So somebody might say, hey, we're $10 CPM, so it's $10 for every 1,000 impressions, and then you can just do the math. You want this many 1,000 impressions times the math. Any questions or anything? Am I going too fast? We're good. I talk for a living, so we can be here forever. So they reminded me that the clock in the back is accurate, so I'm supposed to pay attention to that. All right. So Google, really, when you think about all of the different avenues that we have to advertise on the internet. There's a lot. But Google really, being the giant that they are, has figured out a system that from the biggest company like Kohl's department stores all the way down to a very small niche store in any size town has an opportunity to get their message out in front of their customers. We use Google AdWords. It's a very, very good product because it lets you customize down to the dollars per day. You only want to spend $10 per day, you can do that. It also, over the years, they have developed that, okay, you don't have a marketing director or you don't have somebody that's in charge of your internet sales, or you don't have that. They have made it to the point to where it's kind of hard to goof up. Google has put in a lot of fail-safes. They ask very pointed questions. Their drop-down menus are very, this is what you want to do. This is the market that you want to reach. And then you go through, you put in the amount of money you want to spend per day, and then Google does everything on the back end just like they do. They're geniuses. But so Google, what happens when you actually Google something? When you type in Zoe's Knoxville, what makes that come up first? Well, there's two things. You typed in Zoe's and then you typed in Knoxville. So there's the business name and then Knoxville, which shrunk down. If you just typed in Zoe's, it's going to pull in a number of Zoe's. Now, Google being Google, because they know everything, they're going to list the Knoxville locations first, and then they're going to list Zoe's corporate website after that, and so on and so on and so on. What Google also does on the back end is sometimes you can type in a broader search term. You could type in restaurants within Knoxville, and it's going to list a number of them. And if you'll notice, based on where you're searching, normally the first few restaurants listed are the ones that are closest to you in proximity. And then after that, the restaurants listed are those that have paid to be up there. Unfortunately, as much as we love Google and want to think that, hey, they're just being friendly and they're kind of ranking everybody in the order that they think they should be in, the rank on Google searches for products and for businesses and for places is all based on how much they've paid to be in that rank and order. So how does that apply to you all? Well, anybody searching locally, you're going to want them to see your company, your business, your product first. So what you're able to do is geo-target. You know, Google is massive. There's billions and billions of results. But what they also give you the ability to do is to shrink it down. I only want to be within 10 miles of Knoxville. I only want to be within 200 miles of Knoxville. I only want to be within 10 miles of a specific zip code, whatever it might be. So what Google AdWords allows you to do is you can basically place text within that search. And you'll see if you Google something, it says at the top, it says ad. On the right rail, there's nothing but ads. And then after that is a list of more websites. So what you can do is you can go in there and you can buy and you can say, this is my company name, this is what I do, these are the products that I offer, and I want to make sure that I'm spending $10 per day to help bump my name to go up a little bit more when people Google search where to buy custom-made shoes in Knoxville. So what you're able to do is, because you're a shoe store and you're a custom-made shoe store and everything you do is here in Knoxville, you're able to put in specific terms. So what Google does is they take the relevance of what you do and then they times it by the amount of money that you spend. So again, not to pull the curtain back from the giant, but we get results based on what other companies spend money on. So you all are able to do the same thing. They take the relevance of what you're doing and then they times it by the amount of money that you spend. So if you have high relevance, if you're a custom shoe store in Knoxville and if somebody searches custom shoe store Knoxville, you're going to be much higher on the list versus somebody that's just a shoe store. So from there, you can then do a pay-per-click campaign where you want to only get charged when somebody clicks on your website. And this is straight from Google. If there's no visit, there's no fee. So when you're being budget conscious and you're trying to think, how do I get more folks into our doors, but I don't have the advertising dollars that McDonald's has or the advertising dollars that Coca-Cola has, if you do a pay-per-click campaign, you're only paying for those that are clicking on your website. With that, you can then, within the tools, you can again say, but I don't want my entire budget to be spent in the first hour, or I don't want my entire budget to be spent in the first day. So you can limit things so you make sure that you're stretching it throughout the month. You literally can start with any budget. If you go to Google AdWords, they'll tell you can start for as low as $5 or $10 per day, which is true. And at any point, you can suspend it. If you say it's not working, or you decide we were trying to move 30 of something and we've sold all 30 of those things, I want to take that down. I don't want to keep sending customers to my website or to my store, and they're going to be frustrated because we're out of a product. You can suspend it. And then you can change and optimize at any time. And optimizing means that you really need to pay attention to what you're sending folks. If you're putting a certain ad up there and you're not getting any clicks on it, was it the design? Was it the wording? Was it the colors? Was it too busy? Was it not informative enough? And what we do a lot is it's called A/B testing. So there's version A and there's version B. And you run one for a week, and then you run version B for a week, and then you see which one performed better. And then for the next 2 weeks, you go with A or B. So optimizing is important. Now, optimizing takes a little bit of time, too. So overall, if digital advertising is important to you and you think it's something that can help your business, you also have to say, I'm going to spend some time, an hour a day, 5 hours at the end of the week. I'm going to deputize somebody and tell them, hey, you can spend this amount of time on that. Because if you're putting ads up there and you're not paying attention to what they're doing, you're spending money that you have no idea what the return on it is. So as I go through, I'll talk about optimization, I'll talk about analytics, and I'll talk about the time spent. And for us, that's really important. We have 8 million things going on over at the university, but we always take the time out to see how our campaigns are performing. Every Thursday night, that's what I do, is get results in, go through them all on Friday, and then decide over the weekend, and then for Monday, do we keep doing this? Do we stop doing this? We change creative all the time, obviously, because we have different sporting events going on, different opponents, the seasons take highs, lows, whatever it might be. So keywords, as I was mentioning before, with the relevance and then buying terms. So keywords are a really, really important thing when you go through and you do a Google AdWord campaign. There's terms you own, which I mentioned before, which is relevance. It's whatever your business name is. It's whatever products you sell. It's whatever services you offer. It's your geographical location. If you're in Market Square or if you're in Turkey Creek, whatever it might be. And then on the opposite side of that, you can buy terms. So for us in Tennessee, there's own terms, which say for football. So we would own UT, we would own football, we would own Vols, Volunteers, tickets, whatever that might be. And then on the flip side of it, college football tickets. It's very broad, but we would want to buy that term at least within our 200-mile radius. So if anybody's searching college football tickets, the first thing that's going to come up for them is not the team that plays in Nashville or the team that plays in Georgia or wherever it might be, but it'd be the team that plays right here in Knoxville. When it comes to basketball, SEC basketball, Southeastern Conference basketball, college hoops, college sports, whatever it might be. So you want to think broad. Where do you fit? And those are the types of terms that you want to buy. How did they put you above your competitor? How do they make sure that if somebody's looking for something local, that they don't get the big box store, that they get you all, or whatever it might be. So you can list out any number of terms you want, but you also have to consider the more and more terms you list, the bigger and bigger your funnel is getting. If you'd rather have your funnel be smaller and smaller, then you really want to get as specific as you can for whatever that might be. So you could say stage lighting, concert lighting. Our friends from Bandit Lights are over there. Live events, live shows, outdoor shows, whatever it might be. Those are all of the kind of terms that they're going to want to buy because they don't want their competitors here in town. When somebody Google search live event shows or live event lighting, they want to be one of the first ones up there. Google AdWords also lets you capture customers that specifically want to buy in your market. And as I mentioned before, geo-targeting, it's really, really important, even for us. We don't have the budget that people think we do. And really, when you think about it, what we're selling is sporting. We're selling events for people to come to our campus. Now, there's times that we went to Nashville, we'll go to Bristol, we'll go on the road. But really what we want is we want folks to come to us. So then we have to think about it. Okay, who's going to take the time to drive in on a Saturday? So the 7 Saturdays of a year, our range is a lot bigger. We probably go 300 or 400 miles outside of Knoxville. But then when we get to basketball, it's a little smaller because basketball games happen more frequently. They happen on weeknights. So thinking about who's going to come to the Vanderbilt game this Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Tickets at uttix.com. Had to throw that in there. But thinking about is someone from Atlanta going to drive in for a Wednesday night basketball game? Probably not. But they would drive in for a Saturday night or Saturday afternoon football game. So again, we think about the event and we think about where can we pull them from. And that's what helps us geo-target, putting Knoxville in the center and then basically drawing a big circle around it and how big you want that circle to be. Like I said, geo-targeting can get as small as just people that are within a 10-block radius of where we're standing right now. So it's incredibly helpful. It's a little bit scary if you've never went in there, like Big Brother stuff, but it helps. And you can even down to what's called geofencing, where you say, I only want people that are within walking distance of my business. And so you're basically just putting a big fence around your business, and anybody that comes into that area, those are the folks that you're going to try to market to. It's called Google AdWords Express. And what that does is it does a lot of the campaign management for you. So I stand up here, I talk about all of this, and you're thinking, how do I fit this into my day or my week or somebody else's job description or whatever it might be? Again, Google being Google, they came out with Google AdWords Express, and the campaign management is automated. They definitely help you with a more localized targeting aspect of it. And they do a lot of the things that you're not sure if you understand them or not for you. With that, though, they do limit it down to the number of ad formats that you can do, which, so there's text, and then there's the visual, the pictures, the banners, all of that. So what they try to do is kind of step you into the vast pool of water. So, and then Google obviously everyone doesn't just Google, although we might, but Yahoo and Bing, which obviously are big search engines as well that a lot of folks use, they partnered up and made their own network, so we as well advertise on Yahoo and Bing because I don't know every single fan what search engine they're using. And some of it might depend on your device, some of it might depend on what you use at work, at home, your kids, whatever it might be. So as great as Google is and Google AdWords, don't forget about the other ones because, like I said, Google doesn't run the world, at least not yet. That we know. Maybe they do. Who knows? All right. One other thing that I found that was cool, and that it's free. So bullet number 3 is probably the best one. It's free. It's called Google My Business, and what it does is it connects you directly with your customers. In quotes, it's from Google My Business. They go from search to maps, and it's useful across all devices. And that's something to consider. Is people don't just get their information anymore from desktops or laptops. They're getting their information from phones, from pads, from whatever it might be. And some folks have 2, 3, I've got an iPhone, I got an iPad, I got a MacBook Pro, and I got another desktop. So thinking again, like, how I'm going to touch this person across all devices. What's good about Google My Business is it gives customers easy access to ratings, reviews, all of that. What it gives you is the ability to register your business. So if somebody is searching for something here in Knoxville, it'll pop up on the right-hand side with your address, maybe a picture, a little short description, the hours you're open, the days of weeks you're open, your phone number, whatever it might be. And the best part is if they're searching from this, they can click, boom, call, or they can click directions, take you right to it. So if you're not on Google My Business, if you take one thing away from here, take this, because it's a free aspect. A lot of folks, whenever they're looking for something, coffee shop Knoxville, whatever it might be, this is a really cool free tool. People do obviously rate and review. That's something that matters. The cool thing about it is that as they rate and review, you can read it. You then get to respond back to the customer feedback if you choose, or you can just read it, take it all in, and say, we are doing great, let's continue to do that, or so-and-so didn't like this server, and that really hurt us that day. So if you're not doing that, I really would encourage you to do that. Like I said, it makes you relevant, and it gives you the ability to be found. If you think about how many times, at least for me, I've Googled places trying to find a phone number, and it's like trying to find, and you can't find it. So people want quick, they want easy, they want very handy. They are not going to spend, especially if they're on the go and in their car, they're not going to spend too much time trying to really find something. They're going to probably take the first quick and easy or whatever's closest to them. So I would encourage you to do that. All right, retargeting and remarketing. This is one thing that we probably spend most of our time on, and it's for us, it's a very, very effective tool. It can be very effective for you if you spend some time on it. Remarketing or retargeting, however you want to call it, is basically you get to spend your advertising budget with those that have expressed interest. Is there anybody in here that knows what retargeting is or has tried retargeting? Enlighten us with what?
Well, we use it on our admissions. I work at a private school. We use it on our admissions page. So if someone visits our admissions page, then that it hopefully then brings them back. Okay, you guys, and then they look at that page and then they look back.
Which is the perfect example of using retargeting. Retargeting is, for basically layman's term, is once somebody comes into your website, on the front end you put a little pixel, which again Google's made it easy to put the pixel on there, or you can have your web developer, whoever, put the pixel on there. Once you come to their website and you click on admissions, if I click on admissions, from then on, as I go and search around the internet and visit other websites, Home Depot, USA Today, whatever it might be, there's certain aspects where ads will start to follow me. And you know what, I was thinking about putting my kid in that school, but then I was going to look at another school. But as I go around, I'm starting to see these ads, the success rate from kids that move from there to wherever they go, the ratio of teachers to students, the extracurricular activities, whatever it might be. And all of a sudden I start thinking, man, I actually do like that school. And then I go back. So retargeting, if you think about it, it's a little bit, some people say it's a little bit creepy because the ads are following you. But here's the thing, you're in the business of getting something, a product, a service, whatever it might be, to the customers. If they have expressed interest in your service, then you should follow them. Everybody else is doing it, you should do it too. Because if you're not, then somebody else is going to retarget them based on their interests, their behavior, their location, whatever it might be. So retargeting, it's an online targeted ad only for those that have visited your site when a result does not take place. So somebody went to their admissions page but did not fill out the form completely to submit their info to be contacted. about whatever it might be. For us, it's when somebody goes to uttix.com and they go through our website, they look at seats, they may or may not put them in their cart, and we have different levels. So if they've looked at seats, that's one silo. If they've looked at seats and put them in their cart, that's another silo. And then if they abandon that cart and decide, I wasn't going to buy the tickets, then we start to retarget them. And what it is maybe they had to talk to their wife or their husband about, do we really want to go? Maybe they're going to talk to their friends about how many tickets they needed. They just weren't ready at that given time to make a purchase. So what we do is we just gently remind them, hey, there is games coming up, tickets are available. And depending on where they abandoned their purchase, we then either say tickets are available, or if they were clicking on lower level seats, hey, great, lower level seats still available. Or if they were looking at a number of tickets, we might hit them with a mini plan to let them know you looked at these 2 games, but you can pick up a 3rd game for $5 more, whatever it might be. So our display ads begin to follow Tennessee fans basically throughout to try to keep them engaged. Like I said, how it works is you place a pixel or code on your site. Google uses it's called ad choices, and I'll show you a few examples here in a second. There's plenty of other services. Ad roll is another one of them. And then what you can do is you can determine the scope of how wide you want to go, how tight you want to go. And then, like I said, geo-target. In everything that you do or could do or are thinking about doing, geo-targeting by far is the best thing to do, because it's just going to make sure that all of your ad dollars are spent within the area of people that legitimately have a chance of going to your business. So I'm going to do this. All right, so here's the deal. So Kohl's.com, right? While I was doing some research for this presentation, I clearly went to Google AdWords. So while I'm on Kohl's, I've also got an ad right here, keep customers coming back with Google AdWords. And the reason that I know I'm being remarketed is right here, because of ad choices. So the next time you're online and you start to see ads, look up in the corner. If you see a little blue triangle, you are getting retargeted. It's not a bad thing. It just means that you clicked on a website and somebody decided to follow you. So there is that. Now, I'm not spending $237 at Kohl's, but I put a product in there. Oh, that one didn't come up. All right. Well, let's see if something. All right, here we go. Here's another one. So I'm a Hilton Honors member. I'm part of their email database. Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's 45 minutes north of Chicago. So they're telling me, typically when I do Spartan races, I stay at the Hampton Inn. So they're telling me, hey, by the way, why don't you go up to Chicago? You're from there. Here's a place to stay. I guess some of these won't load, but yeah, so there we go. So Google was, the example I had in the Tennessean was Spartan Race, which is a adventure obstacle course racing. They retarget me all the time because I click on their website, try to find ads, and then the ads that they serve back to me say, commit to yourself, commit to being better. They're trying to pull at me, come into their website, thinking about doing this race that's going to make me feel better about myself, and they're using the really strong word of commit, like don't let your friends down. The ESPN.com example was Ninja Warrior, which is in the same family as Spartan Race, and the other one was the Fox Sports example, which, sorry, I didn't, but that was actually an ad for Kohl's. So while I was on Kohl's to see if I would get retargeted by Google, Fox Sports then retargeted me with a Kohl's ad. So it's all it's all something that, now those are all obviously larger companies and they have a bigger scope. So they're basically saying anybody in America that does X, Y, or Z, you have the ability to say, I just want people in East Tennessee. Go ahead.
I've heard the vocab of pixel with marketing. What is a pixel?
A pixel is it's basically a code. So in order for all of these different aspects to work, there's literally a code. It's about a sentence or two long. And what you do is you place it on your website, and it initiates a cookie. Does everyone know what cookies are? Okay. So cookies, basically, they're not, that looks like a great cookie. It's not that, though. I mean, look at those chocolate chips. I'm all about it. So a pixel is, it's a term. It's taking that code, and if you think about it, screens, like screen sizes, all of that, everything is made up by pixels. So when websites are designed, they don't necessarily say, hey, I want something that's 8.5 by 11, which is a sheet of paper. Instead, you would say, I want something that's 1,000 pixels by 2,000 pixels. What retargeting does is they take one pixel, which is too small for me to even show you, and they place it up either in the very bottom or top corner, wherever it might be, so that when somebody comes to your website, that little pixel attaches to you, so that as you start to travel throughout the internet, they know, hey, I need to follow this guy, and I need to keep serving him ads about, chocolate chips in Knoxville or whatever it might be. It doesn't slow down your website from loading. It doesn't create any sort of problems or this or that. The customer or the fan for us would never know that it's going on. It's a very quick action, but what it does is it ties everything else together. So we got a computer internet department, and that was how they explained it to me. So that's how I explained it to you. But if you could Google it, and it'll probably be overwhelming, but any of these services that allow you to do something for yourself, they will generate the pixel for you, and they'll walk you through how to do that. Or if you have a webmaster or anything of that nature, you can get it placed in there pretty easily. So. All right. One other thing about digital advertising, I don't want to go Google the entire time. There are obviously local and regional options, and we use all of those as well. Many of those are the local and regional TV, print, digital news sites. They all offer ad space, and typically, what's really good about those websites, like the Knoxville News Sentinel or the Tennessean, actually they retarget, but some of the local sites, maybe Channel 8, whatever it might be, most of their ad space they're keeping in-house. So there's some national buys, but a lot of times they want to have it for the community, for the area, for whatever it might be. So if you're a little overwhelmed and you're not sure about retargeting and you're not sure about pay-per-click or you're not sure about any of that, these sites offer a great opportunity for you to get in touch with your local community. The one thing I would say, though, is always think about, are you buying clicks or are you buying impressions? Clicks are at least going to give you something. You're going to know that what you did was something that was useful, or that people had some level of interest. Impressions, which we do both. Impressions really are just kind of getting your brand out there, and you're hoping that people click on it, or you're hoping that something takes place on that. So for us, we use it. It's a really good opportunity for us to supplement other paid advertising. So when we think about, we buy TV spots, we buy radio ads, we buy all of that. So for us, we a lot of times try to package and negotiate and say, well, we want some presence on your website as well. So we can then have a very kind of overarching commercial on the radio, and then get a lot more specific with what we're putting on these websites. And I would say all the rules still apply. So making sure you're being creative, that you're standing out, you're not confusing people, you're letting them know what you're selling. You want analytics on the back end. You're not just going to throw your money away and say, here, I'm trusting that you're advertising for me. You want to see how everything is performing. So by all means, this is a really good option. All right, Facebook and social media. 72% of internet users are active on social media. That could be much higher and much lower depending on where you go to get your information. I went to one website and this is what they told me. So, but if you think about it, there's not many people that somehow, some way don't interact with social media. Facebook probably being the biggest of those social medias, but there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Pinterest. Obviously, that's a very, very big thing as well. If I could get my wife off Pinterest, I'd have a better life. But we are recording this. Oh, man. All right, Facebook. Apologize about the small font. So if you want me to go through any of this in more detail, the top line that I have up here, it says with Facebook ads, you can create targeted ads to reach different audiences and meet your business goals. Now that's straight from Facebook, but it really is true. Facebook ads are placed in the stream of information people view on Facebook, and they are more likely to see your ad and take action. Again, that's coming from Facebook. Budgets and schedules are very flexible. When you think about the number of people that use Facebook, whether they're posting recipes or cat videos or pictures of their kids, whatever it might be, there is an incredible amount of people on Facebook. Of all of those people on Facebook, you may not be interested in 25% of them, 10% of them, whatever they might be. Facebook does a really, really good job of creating custom audiences. We do a really, really good job of giving Facebook all of this information so they can create custom audiences. Every time you like somebody's page or photo or video, you tell people what books you're reading, you tell people where you're traveling, you can tell people if you're what jobs you've had, the level of education you have. All of that Facebook is using on the back end to help people like us get in touch with those that we really want to buy our products or buy our services. So, like I said, you can get it down to location, demographic, interests, behaviors, connections. So I really like Spartan Races. Spartan Race wants to come and advertise to me. What they're also going to do is hope that some of my friends are also in the Spartan Race. So not only are they going to push information out to me, they're going to push it out to my friend network in hopes that, oh, hey, he's probably hanging around with people that have similar interests as him. So, and then they also give you the ability to do what's called a lookalike audience. You know that this set of people enjoy your store or enjoy your product or enjoy whatever it might be. So you want to find people like them that also live within Knoxville, that live, within the area. So it's as much info as Facebook users give Facebook on the backside. Facebook then gives advertisers access to all of that information. So it's a really, really cool thing about Facebook because you can get as wide as you want. Like I said, you can get that funnel down and really make it a segmented market. The Facebook Pixel, to answer your question again, so Facebook does it as well. It's a piece of code for your website that lets you measure, optimize, and build audiences. So again, it's when someone visits your website and takes an action, it could be anything. They buy something. Facebook then gets triggered and starts to report that action. So a lot of this can be overwhelming. You will get more information than you might think you need, but as you take the time and dive deeper and deeper into it, you're going to start to figure out that some of this information can be very, very helpful to you. It can be information that when people first come into your website, you have 4 different sections, but everybody always goes to number 2 first. They always skip over number 1. Well, why is that? Is it not relevant? Is it boring? Is the creative not good? Is the wording not good? Or is number 2 really what people are interested in, and that's what you should focus your website on? So obviously then Facebook tries to match what those folks have done up to what you're trying to achieve. And it says that way you'll know when a customer took an action after seeing your Facebook ad. you'll be able to reach that customer again via custom audience. So for us on Facebook, what we do is we take certain posts and it's called promoted post, and you'll see it'll say sponsored on it. What you can do is you can say, I want to promote this to a certain type of individual, or you want to promote it to, we say, between 50 and 70,000 people. And then that way, maybe 10% of those people will actually buy tickets or whatever it might be. So you have the ability to reach out and look for a certain type of person. You have the ability to reach out and look for tens of thousands of folks, or maybe it's just hundreds of people, whatever it might be that you're looking for. And then Facebook gives you the ability, it's called Ads Manager. It's a tool for managing and checking your performance. There's an app for it if you're on the go. The one hitch about Facebook, it's a 20% rule, which ads plays cannot contain more than 20% text in the image or the photo. So when you think about a Facebook post, typically there's an image, and then you have some text underneath it. That image, whatever it might be, cannot have more than 20% of that be text. Your logo, an offer, whatever it might be. It's good and bad. As advertisers, you want more than 20% because it happens really fast. But also in terms of what Facebook is doing is, if these ads were so overwhelming, people would begin to tune them out. And what they're trying to do is slip these ads in as organic posts. It's things that you would normally see that you don't feel like all of them getting served as ads versus what my friends are posting about what they had for lunch or whatever that might be, or how good this digital marketing campaign is going. But it's a good thing. So it's something to keep in mind. You might have this great piece of creative and you're like, I'm so excited, I got to get it on Facebook, and then you find out it won't pass the rules. So at the end, I've got some links, but on Facebook's page, there's an actual link you go to, you upload your image, they divide it into a grid, you click the grid on where you have text or a logo, and they'll come back and tell you, hey, you're at 16% or you're at 42%. So they don't let you go too far before you mess up. But those are really good because a lot of times what you can do is you can get in and really hone in on what somebody's interests are or what you're trying to do. For the private school, you may only want to segment to families, people that have 2 or more kids, whatever it might be. The great thing about Facebook is how much info we give them, and like I said, on the back end, how much info you have access to. Any questions so far? All right, so the non-traditional ones, we use Pandora, we use Twitter, and we use Instagram. And what the top bullet says is go to where your customers hang out. So your customers can do any number of things. They can be from here, there, and everywhere. Pandora probably would apply to Bandit Lights because it's online streaming music. They're in the business of, stages and music and everything else. So more than likely bands are probably on there listening to other people's music. They may want to get in there and advertise, hey, this is something that we can do. It's the cool thing about these 3 things is, and even Facebook is, they're what we would call a mass channel. Facebook is global, Pandora is global, Twitter, Instagram, they're all global. They give you the ability to get right here in Knoxville and be local about it. So they're very objective based, they're targeted, they're scalable, they're budget tailored, and they're analytic based options. So they only work because they end up giving you the information that you need to make your campaign work. Pandora has the ability, and most of these have the ability to do what we call a static ad, just a graphic, not moving. And then you can do a video, so you have that option. You may have a great recruiting video for your school, and you want people to see that, or you may have recaps of shows you've done, or whatever it might be. You may have a video of something getting painted. You may have a video of your store getting set up. Lunch being made, a coffee press, whatever it might be. Thinking about your customers and thinking about how visual people are and how do you stand out is a really important thing to do. On top of that, YouTube, which I don't have a slide on here, but YouTube is another thing. If you want to think about, if you really have all these videos that you really want to get out there, YouTube, everyone goes to YouTube, and there's always that your video will start in 5 seconds. Well, that's what we call pre-roll. And the same thing happens. You go in there and you select an audience. Your ad will play. If somebody says skip, you don't get charged for that ad, which is great. All of these companies are making so much money that they don't charge you for the things that people don't use, which is nice. If they watch your full ad, that's a view, you get charged for that view. If they don't, you don't. So it's a good thing, again, if you're very, very budget conscious. Twitter has what they call location-based ads. Again, you only pay for the action that aligns to your campaign objective. If you're going to use Twitter, the biggest thing is because everybody just, it's 140 characters. You're following, however many people. The best thing to do on Twitter is just a call to action. If you're trying to get too far into it and too far into the weeds, and you're really trying to explain your product and why you're the best and why your turnaround time is only 24 hours and here's what we do in the back room, that's not what Twitter's for. Twitter really is about the call to action and getting people to notice what you got going on. Pandora, the cool thing about Pandora, just like a radio station here, is that you can do a 15-second or a 30-second ad. And you can also accompany it with a display ad. So in the room, how many folks use Pandora? Anybody? Do you mostly listen to it on your phone, or do you mostly listen to it on desktop? Phone. Desktop. So the cool thing about that is when the ads pop up, it'll on your phone or even on the desktop, it'll then pop up with a little image. And if folks want more information, they click on it. You can customize all of that. You can say when they click on it from their phone, I want them to call me. When they click on it from their desktop, I want them to take it to my website. You can have them do any number of things, but even if they don't, I listen to Pandora on my phone. A lot of times it's in my pocket, so I'm probably not going to see the image, but what I am going to hear is the ad. So the really good thing about Pandora is it gives you those two options. It's either visual, or what they're doing best is it's audio. They're really good at reaching the millennials. If that is of any interest to you, now if you look at their demographics, they're all over the board, but the millennials probably listen to Pandora the most. They say they typically spend between 20 to 30 hours monthly listening to mobile music. We use Pandora to try to push some more season tickets to a very segmented group of folks. And what was surprising was we were trying to move inventory that was in the lower south end zone of Neyland Stadium. And so what we did was we looked at everybody else that was sitting around there, and we said we got to find more people like them and try to serve these ads to them. So in our lower south end zone, our average age was 52 years old. 77% of them are married, 62% are male, 39% are female. So probably looking at Pandora, we're like, well, they may not be the best avenue to reach out to those folks, but we'll give it a try. And not only that, we didn't want to just limit to 45 to 55 or whatever it might be. We decided to go into all different segments. When Pandora came back, they basically come back with a very detailed, it'll make your eyes cross if you're not used to it, recap of everything. But so we bought 600,000 impressions, which I was talking about before, which resulted in 1,900 clicks. So our click-through rate, was roughly, we'll say, 0.5%. So the click-through rate is obviously the impressions divided by the number of clicks, how many times people came in there. So we looked at all of that and we're like, all right, well, clearly of the 600,000 impressions, about 2,000 people decided to click on it, which those are actually really good numbers. So if you've never done anything in digital advertising before, you're like, I bought 600,000 or something and only 2,000 people. Those are really good numbers. Click-through rates, typically between like 0.2 and 0.4 are what you want. You're not going to get 50% of the people clicking on it. If you do, keep doing what you're doing and send me an email with what that is. So don't ever be discouraged by that. Click-through rates vary based on product and channel and all of that, but you definitely buy impressions in the hundreds of thousands, and your clicks come in the handfuls. So the biggest demographic that clicked of the 1,908 are the marquee demographic, and that was ages 24 to 34. And that's not who we were looking for. We were looking for what we thought we were looking for were people around the age 50 to 55 that had the disposable income to donate, to buy the season ticket, to buy the parking pass, to sit down there. They accounted for 0.66 of the click-through rate. So of those 2,000 people, half of them that were clicking through were actually between the ages of 24 and 34. So we quickly decided, hey, let's not push season tickets on Pandora. This is probably not the season ticket buyer. Let's push individual game. Let's push mini plan. Let's figure out what it is that we want to do. So we didn't just spend the money and then hope for the results. We spent the money, we looked at the results, and we completely changed what we were pushing out to folks. So Instagram, obviously Instagram is it's a cool thing. If you don't have Instagram and you don't want to go on Facebook and listen to all of the different things that people talk about, Instagram is a cool thing. The biggest thing about Instagram is the visual has to tell the story. Instagram is all about photos. And you can put a little bit of a caption underneath it, but Instagram, even most recently, they've compressed them. So I don't know if you ever go on there, you might write a really, really long description of what was going on, but you might only see like a sentence or two, and then you see the ... So if you put something on Instagram and then you write all this, and then the biggest thing about the offer is in the bottom third of it, folks probably aren't going to see that. So Instagram for us is a really good way for us to do brand awareness and brand sentiment. We probably don't sell much of anything of like true tickets off of Instagram, but we're charged with a few things. We're charged with selling tickets. We're charged with people feeling good about what we do. We're, growing the fan base and all of that. So Instagram is one of those things that really is probably more about brand awareness. The cool thing they just instituted too is they have a call to action button. So if you got your photo up there, and people can click right away to click to buy, click to call, click to visit, click to like, click to support, whatever it might be. So, all right, this is the part that if I haven't glazed your eyes over yet, get ready to not know what's going on. I don't fully understand this either. We have I do a lot with analytics, but we also have 2 or 3 folks within our department that this is really what they're great at. And they're doing analytics on our overall website. So for them to help decipher what we're doing from an ad spend was not that much more. They explained it to me. I understand the advertising side of it. They understand the analytics side of it. We have meetings, and everybody knows what's going on. I definitely would say that analytics are just as important as the dollars that you're spending, because the one thing about traditional media is that you can spend it and you're not quite sure if it works unless somebody comes in and says, hey, I heard your radio ad, or I cut your newspaper ad out because you had an offer in it, or I saw your billboard, man, that's creative, whatever it might be. The great thing about digital advertising is they'll tell you how awesome it was, or they'll tell you if it sucked. And sometimes you need to hear that. You can look at the metrics, and then it'll help you figure out, like, did you reach who you were trying to reach? Like I said, we were trying to reach 52-year-olds, and we reached 24 to 34-year-olds. So our engagement completely changed because of that, and then our conversion rates changed because of that too. So the other thing with analytics, a term that's used, so there's ROI, obviously, is return on your investment. In analytics, it's the ROAS, it's the return on your ad spending. So you can truly figure out, for every dollar that you spent, how many dollars did you bring back in? For us, for Facebook advertising, for every dollar that we spend, we bring about $12 back in. So for us, that's a great return on tickets. Again, Google Analytics is free. It's a little bit, you got to put some time into it. It's a little bit more than probably the other mechanisms that Google has for advertising, which is why if it's you or somebody with you, I encourage you to what I say, learn the curve. There's just a little bit of a learning curve to Google Analytics, but once you figure that out, you're like, oh wow, look at this. And then sometimes you can get obsessed with Google Analytics. Don't do that. You got to find a happy medium between them, because then you start to freak out. You're like, it's been 61 minutes and no one's clicked on my banner yet. What do I do? These things got to breathe. They got to give them some time. Campaign. None of the campaigns we run are ever shorter than 30 days. People's minds change. People only have so much time. They may be waiting in a doctor's office and they're looking at Facebook and they have 7 minutes before their name's called, and if they didn't click on your ad, they might come back to it that night or next week. So you got to let everything breathe. You got to let it work into the system. So I encourage you, or somebody, I'm sure everybody knows somebody that's just a little bit smarter than they are. We have plenty of people that are smarter than me, so I went to them and said, tell me about Google Analytics. Deputize somebody or spend the time yourself and look into Google Analytics. I put on here, take a step further, Google Tag Manager. It's a free thing too. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I don't fully understand it, but if you really wanted to take a step further, it allows you target control over your digital marketing and your programs. It's probably much more than any of us in this room would ever do or want to do. We're probably going to tell somebody, hey, handle the tags for me. What Google Tag Manager does essentially is you choose a bunch of keywords, a bunch of words that you think are relevant to your business, and you see how those keywords are performing. Again, I don't want to go too far off, but it's just something to consider. So, but Google Analytics is, like I said, it's free. When you go to their website, you click here to get started. And as you go through, again, they make it pretty fail-safe. If you've messed it up, the best thing you can do is just click that little X in the right-hand corner, close it out, start back over. They're not going to charge you for anything. So, all right, takeaways, because we're running short on time. Paid search performs 2-to-1 over organic search. And that goes all the way back to what I was saying before, that you're paying for your search or for your website to be a little bit higher than if you were just saying, you know what, this is what we do, and I'm hoping that organically people find us. So targeted ads are 2 times as effective as normal ads. So knowing what you want to sell to who you want to sell, you're going to be 2 times as effective as if you were just throwing an ad out there. Keywords and phrases are very important. And when I say work in a high converting list, really think about what it is that you do or you want to do or you want people to know about you, and think about all of those search terms. Because a lot of times people might just type in 2 words, or they would say, you know what, I really want to make sure I'm getting what I'm looking for, and they type 5, 6, or 7 words in. They start to string things along. We always consider the consumption, so you try to stand out. Obviously, for us, the color orange is very associated with Tennessee athletics, so everyone's like, use orange, use orange, use orange. We do, but then when we put our buy buttons, click here to buy now, typically we put those in fluorescent colors because they stand out. If you're looking at a web page and you see a fluorescent green thing over there, well, what's that? We like shiny new things. What's that? What's that? Oh, what's that? So think about how people consume them, and then think about how you can stand out. And sometimes that means deviating a little bit from your color palette. Social is a great way to boost your message, and it's a very, very affordable way to boost your message. Retargeting, it presents a great option for those that are already interested in. Again, other than the Google My Business, if there's one thing that if you're really limited on your ad spend, I would heavily consider retargeting. Because what you're doing is you're reaching out to folks that say, well, I'm thinking about buying. And you really want to try to pull those folks in versus trying to just find somebody that may or may not be interested. Design for the message, design for the customer, and design for the device. You may not do your design work, but make sure that whoever is aligning with what the message that you're trying to get across. The customers that you're trying to reach. Probably, if I was trying to sell a red motorcycle, I would want to design that for someone who I thought would ride a red motorcycle. And then obviously making sure that you design for the device, because if you're looking at an ad on this versus an ad on that, or even an ad on a big screen like that, you want to think about how much info you're putting in there, how big the font sizes are, all of that. Because again, you might have a great ad and the offers at the bottom and you just couldn't read it. And then, like I said, spend time or give time to someone on your staff to analyze and to measure your results. And then here, everything I talked about, that's where you would find it all. And honestly, if you just go to Google and you type in Google AdWords or Yahoo Advertising or Facebook Advertising, any of those, it'll take you right to it. Because as much as they want to help you advertise, they are advertising themselves. And like I said, the two that I would say are the most important are the first and the last. The Google AdWords and the Google My Business are probably the ones that will help you all the most. So that was a lot. It's probably more than you wanted. Questions, concerns, had no idea what I was saying.
As things become more and more targeted, how do you see the content itself changing? Like, I mean, for instance, I do video production, so like, now my audience is getting more and more targeted. How do you see like the content itself, like TV spots,
Right.
you changing?
Yeah, I think what you're going to find is that as things become more and more targeted, the content-wise, you're going to try to play to those specific demographics or whatever the client might be. If somebody's looking for something more traditional, you might reach out that way. But from a content standpoint, that's the thing. Once you get somebody in, your initial ad worked. So now that you have them in, you have to change the content. So you're either changing the call to action, you're being a little bit more specific about your product. You might be a little humorous. Like I said, Spartan Race, they do a really good job on their retargeting. Once you go to their website, you get a, hey, commit to this. It's kind of a broader message. Once you click on a race, and maybe even click on a time to run that race, but you don't go through with it, they come back at you and they kind of jab you a little bit, like, don't be afraid of the burpees, or, it's only, so as you start to target people, you're going to have to change your message because they've already saw that bigger, broader message. Now you want to get a little more personal with them. They've engaged with you, engage back with them, and it's like I say, humor or call to action, whatever it might be, is good because people eventually, as you retarget them, they're going to see your ad more and more. You're following them around the internet, so you don't want to annoy them. You also don't want them to tune it out. So that is the one thing with retargeting. Some people say one of the cons of it is that you have to pay attention to it a little more. You may have to switch your creative up a little bit more. You may want to think about what you're serving to those folks a little more. But the other thing you can do too is that once somebody buys, once they come in, they drop off and they're not going to see that anymore. So content-wise, it's just as important as you think about who you're sending it to. You really need to think about what you're sending them. But yeah, retargeting, eventually, the broad-based advertising will probably go down, and retargeting will go up more and more and more. It's from when it started to where it is now is incredible. We started retargeting probably 3 or 4 years ago, and now the amount of scalability that we have on it is pretty incredible. So yeah, and like I said, we get reports all the time, and we're constantly changing creative to get back in touch with the person. Did that answer your?
Yeah. For Pandora, what's the cost for it?
It really depends, and that's the reason I didn't put any dollar figures up here. Everything is very scalable to what you're looking for. So length of campaign, the type of spot, the demographics, the location, everything. So the great thing about all of these avenues is none of them will say no to your money. So you may not get as much as you wanted, but if you go to them and you say, I have $300, I have $500, they'll put together a campaign for you. And you can say, well, I definitely want the $500 to last 30 days. So your ad may only get served 4 or 5 times a day, or you can say, our initial campaign, the one that we bought 600,000 impressions, that was $3,500. So, and we segmented it out and all of that. So we thought it was a really good campaign. But yeah, you can literally start $5-10 a day. You can say, I only want to do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, or Fridays through Sunday when, you don't want to run ads when you don't want to tell people to come in your store if you're closed on the weekends or if you're closed after this or whatever it might be. So you can hone it in there. You can spend a lot of time. So.
What's your age as far as demographics on social media? And you talk about a 50-year-old that you're trying that's going to have money to super expensive tickets and outrageous amount that you have to, contribute to. Football game.
It is a football, yeah. True.
But
If we didn't have such a high bill for the light show that we did at our basketball games, we would lower our prices. Everybody heard, I got the mic. What our demographic is, it really varies, and that's the great thing about all of these as well. Obviously, the internet is the internet. Social media, there's, Facebook probably hits the largest variety from. The fans, we have almost 400,000 fans on our Facebook page. And it's everything from as early as parents are willing to let their kids have a Facebook page all the way up into the very end of our demographic, the high 70s, high 80s, whatever it might be. So the great thing is you can segment it out. Facebook probably hits the biggest broad variety. Twitter gets a little bit more, for us, Twitter really is like the person that wants to constant information. It's the fans that they may hear about it on the message board first, and then they want to see if we're going to validate it or not. So when we look at Twitter, it's more of people they want quick hits. They're in, they're out, they're in, they're out. So and then Pandora, like I said, Pandora is great for us, for the younger generation, the millennials. We really focus on Pandora for single game tickets and for mini plans. And what we try to do there is we try to say, hey, it's cool to come to the game and bring your friends. And then Instagram probably is more of a younger demographic. They don't want to tell you as much when they post. They just want to post a photo and let it tell the story. Most people are on Instagram because they really don't want the minutia and the garbage of what's on Facebook. So they're a little younger, they're more visually creative. So we look at each one of them and we hit them all differently because, and for us, we're so broad. We advertise to families that's come to a women's basketball game and we have a kids corner. Football games, it's a longer day. You're probably going to have to invest a little bit more money. Basketball, there's very affordable tickets. Then there's some of our other events, baseball, softball, even more affordable. Then we have other events that are free events. So we kind of hit everybody from younger all the way up, but depending on who you want to hit, you can choose any one of these. So.
A bunch of old guys who think the internet's going away soon, so it's hard to say.
I can promise you the internet is not going away soon. I can promise, well, I don't want to say promise. I do know that things are changing drastically, and if you took a step back and thought about how much information you're giving away when you do stuff on social media, just as many people on the back end are eagerly waiting to do that so they can segment it out and sell it to folks like you all so you'll advertise. So the internet may or may not be going anywhere, but a connected audience is going through the roof. So, and as much as we say, I don't want an ad following me around the internet, that's creepy. Well, I also want to see things that interest me. So we might say that we don't like it, but we really do, because at the end of the day, I really only want to look at things that I'm interested in, and things I'm not interested in. It's like, why are you telling me that? I don't care. So it's the quandary of giving too much, but then also having it at your fingertips.
I'm curious, what's your advertising budget, and what percentage of that is going to digital versus traditional?
Our advertising budget fluctuates, but it's 50%. And next year, I would probably see it growing. It was hey, let's try this a few years ago, and then now we've gotten more and more into it. We actually almost completely cut one medium to put all of that money into digital. So there was some things that just weren't working for us, and took that money and put it into digital because it was. So we ran a campaign to push tickets for the North Texas and Vanderbilt game, and we put about maybe $5,000 into it, and in return it brought $37,000 in ticket sales. So if I had to do it again, I'd go right back to it.
I would like to hear you say that your response rate is like 0.5, and because when we do some of these campaigns, they come back and they're all excited about, oh, you got this on your return, and we were like 75 people is equal to how many in sales, and it's up to us to track that. So you're saying that the University of Tennessee, that does a lot of things, has put a lot of their advertising in for a few number of people that get click through. Is that because y'all place value, but you know that they're transitioning into actual sales versus other advertising medium?
Yeah, we look at it as we do a lot with the folks that come in and that we retarget, because if I can get you into our system. So if you buy just one single ticket, at some point we're going to reach back out to you and say, did you enjoy the game? If you did, why don't you go to 2 games or 3 games? Or if you buy 3, well, you're only a little bit away from having a full season ticket. So for us, once you've expressed interest and you've come to at least 1 game, there's a huge value in that we can continue to tell you how much fun it is to come to Tennessee football games. There's no place like it. The stadium's iconic. All of those things. So yeah, we look at it as if we have a call center, and we have to keep feeding them folks to call. And so if we have people that have expressed interest, that keeps them busy on what they're doing. And sometimes they call and someone says, hey, I just wanted to come to that game. And we say, great, thanks for coming. You won't hear from us. Other times it's, hey, I really did have more interest. I just didn't know who to call. Thanks for calling me. So yeah, the retargeting, the best way the retargeting works, the only way retargeting works is you have to feed it. So if nobody's going to your website, you can't retarget anybody. But if people are going to your website, you can retarget them. You can get the info, and then on the back end, reach back out to them. So yeah, we went from pushing out, hoping that people were recognizing what was going on, to honing it in and saying, we just want to talk to the people that want to come to a game.
Wow, thank you, Jim. I'll be glad to
Yeah, I'll stay after.
say a little bit. Thank you so
No
much,
problem.
everybody. Before we wrap up, we have an evaluation form that complete visual time, complete technically on the end of the table. We do recycle, plastics are on the left, and the 2 trash bins are on each side of the table. And the final class in this category will be next Tuesday, the 26th, and it's called Digital Storytelling. So if you're interested in digital storytelling, to tell your story after Jim explained how important that was, then you are ready for that class, because it will fill. We thank you all again for attending, and we ask you to have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me. Hope you guys enjoyed it.